There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge I cremated Sam McGee. Now, Sam McGee is from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the south to roam around the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, though he'd often say in his homely way that he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold through the parka's fold that stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes we'd close, then the lashes froze till sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. That very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed and the stars overhead were dancing heel and toe, he turned to me and Cap, says he, "I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request." Well, he seemed so low that I couldn't say no. Then he says with a sort of moan, "It's this cursed cold, it's got right hold, till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet, 'tain't being dead is my awful dread, and that icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear, foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains." Well, a man's last need is the thing to heed, and I swore I wouldn't fail. We started on at the streak of dawn, but God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on his sleigh and raved all day of his home in Tennessee, and by nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried horror-driven, with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, "You may tax your brawn and brains, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate those last remains." Well, a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb and my heart how I cursed that load. In the long, long night by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring cried out their woes to the homeless snows, oh, how I loathed that thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavier and heavier grow, but on I went, though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail went bad, and I felt half mad, but I swore I wouldn't give in, and I'd often sing to the hateful thing, and it harketed with a grin, till I came to the marge of Lake LaBarge, and there a derelict lay. It was jammed in the ice, and I saw it in a trice. It was called the Alice May. Then I looked at it, then I thought a bit, then I looked at my frozen chum. Then here, said I, with a sudden cry, is my crematorium. Some planks I tore from the cabin floor and lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around and heaped the fuel higher. The flames they soared and the furnace roared, a blaze you seldom see. Then I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal and stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I took a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so, and the huskies howled and the heavens scowled and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I don't know why. The greasy smoke and the inky cloak streaked down the sky. I do not know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out and danced about ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, "It's time." I peeked inside. "I guess he's cooked," and it's time I looked. The door I opened wide. And there sat Sam, cool and calm, in the heart of the furnace roar. He wore a smile you could see a mile, and he said, "Please close that door. See, it's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plum Tree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm." There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge I cremated Sam McGee.